All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going to look at how our whole understanding of the human mind has been completely transformed over the years. We're talking about the journey from studying rats in a maze to literally mapping the pathways of emotion in our brains. So let's get right to it. You know the feeling, right? Our own minds can be such a black box. How is it possible that you can remember every single word to a song you haven't heard in 2 decades, but you have no idea where you left your keys 5 minutes ago? These aren't just late night thoughts, they are the exact kinds of questions that science has been chipping away at for years. And that journey of discovery, well, that's exactly what we're going to explore. To do that, we're going to use two key psychology textbooks as our guides. Think of them as time capsules, one from the 1950s and one from the modern day, to see how the story of the mind has been written and then completely rewritten. Okay, so our first stop takes us back to the middle of the 20th century. This was a time when psychology was really fighting to prove itself as a serious experimental science. And our guide for this era is Hilgard's Introduction to Psychology from 1953. Now, this thing wasn't just a textbook. No way. It was basically a mission statement. It laid out the whole blueprint for how psychology could be a respected, rigorous field of study. So what was everyone focused on back then? Well, the core obsessions were things like learning, memory, and consciousness. I mean, these are huge topics, but the absolute rule was you could only study what you could objectively see and measure inside a controlled lab. And here's what's so cool about their approach. You can think of these early scientists almost like map makers, like cartographers. They weren't trying to map the whole messy inner world all at once. Instead, they were carefully, methodically, charting the coastlines, the observable behaviors, to create the very first reliable maps of the human mind. Now, let's jump way forward, more than half a century, in fact. And in that time, so much has changed. Not just our technology, but the very way we think about thinking itself. For this modern era, our guide is this really influential textbook by Schachter, Gilbert, and Wegner. And you can see something important just from the description here. The key word is comprehensive. The whole scope of psychology is about to get a lot bigger. And this chart really tells the story. The field didn't just grow, it exploded. I mean, sure, memory is still a huge piece of the puzzle, but now it's sitting right alongside these deep dives into cognition, our incredibly complex emotional lives, and the whole intricate dance of social behavior. The map of the mind is getting way, way more detailed. So here's the crucial point, the main takeaway. The focus shifted. If the 1950s were all about charting the what, the behaviors we could see, the modern era is all about figuring out the why. We're finally exploring that vast, complex inner world that's actually driving everything we do. Okay, so we've looked at the two different eras. Now let's put them right next to each other to really get a sense of how much this field has evolved. I mean, look at this, side by side. On one hand, you've got the classic 1950s approach, super tight, controlled experiments, focused only on what you can see. And on the other, the modern approach, this big, comprehensive focus on cognition that dives right into our internal mental processes, our thoughts, our feelings, our social chess playing. It's a total shift from understanding us from the outside in to understanding us from the inside out. And you gotta remember, this isn't just some small change in perspective. This represents more than 50 years of unbelievable, groundbreaking research. We're talking about the cognitive revolution, the moment scientists started using computers as a brand new metaphor for the mind, and these huge leaps in technology, like brain imaging, that for the first time let us actually peek under the hood. So, this trip through history is pretty cool, but why does it matter to you right now? Well, as it turns out, this entire evolution has a huge impact on our day-to-day lives. So how does all this lab coat and clipboard stuff actually translate into real life? Well, think about it. Our deeper understanding of memory, that has completely changed how we teach and learn, giving us study tricks that actually work with our brains. Our exploration of emotion, that's not just some abstract idea. It's the foundation of modern therapy and our focus on mental well-being. And all that science on social cognition, that's what helps us build better relationships and connect with people. This stuff isn't just theory, it's incredibly practical. So we've gone from just charting the coastlines to exploring the incredibly deep inner world of the human mind. The map is more detailed than it's ever been, but it's still so far from being complete. And that leaves us with one last question to chew on. What do you think is the next great mystery of the mind that science is going to solve?